Opinionated and now caffeinated. Wake Up Warchant is fueled by DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. Founded in 2014 by the Lemmix family, Ed, Courtney, and their son, Brett, DeLuna Coffee is Florida State through and through. The pursuit of the perfect blend of coffee beans is a 365-day effort for the family, but they'll always find time to tailgate for their Noles in the autumn. Stand at attention for their red, white, and brew. In honor of armed forces, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard, DeLuna has created this fair trade organic blend. Enjoy this premium French roast coffee and salute to the good old USA. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.
From Tally to Cali,
It's time
To wake up!
Wake up! Wake up!
WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hutchavandi.
And Corey Clark.
What's up? It is Wake Up Warchant. It is fueled by DeLuna Coffee. DeLunaCoffee.com. Come explore our world of coffee. Promo code WARCHANT15. Again, we're almost there. It's Thanksgiving weekend. It's Beat Florida week. Not just Florida week. It's Beat Florida week now because everything has been turned on its head. But get some of your shopping done. Go to DeLunaCoffee.com, top of the screen. Hit on there. Hit the shop. Go to gifts. Get a sampler pack. Keep one for yourself. Give one to a coworker. Give one to your family friend. Stocking stuffers for the children. Get them started on coffee early, right, Corey? You got Brady. This stuff's coursing through his veins now, I would assume, right?
Yeah, because he was a pretty low-key kid. We had to speed him up as much as possible, so we got him hooked to the coffee.
Good job. It's solid parenting 101 right there, everybody.
What we do.
Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminoles sports source. Use the promo code WARCHANT30. Subscribe, though, to the YouTube channel first off, and get that notification bell set, thumbs up, 5-star rating, review, all of that. Corey Clark, here we sit, man. Here we are, you and I, Florida State fans, Warchant.com, chronicling this team that at one point was 0-4. Very easily could have maybe even been 0-5 if not for the nifty foot of a one Ryan Fitzgerald from Coolidge, Georgia. Although he went to Colquitt County, but that's a whole nother story in and of itself. But a 26-23, can we say season-defining victory over Boston College this past weekend?
I mean, you could, sure. I thought that was I said it in the wrap-up. I think I said it in my column. I wrote it in my column. I don't talk my columns out. That I thought that was the most impressive win of the season. It wasn't the most important. That was Miami, but it was very impressive, man. To go up there after what you did the week before and how emotional and physical that was against a team that kind of had more of a cruise control game the week before against what has turned out to be an awful Georgia Tech team.
Oof.
Man, Georgia's going to name its score this week. For you to go up there and really control the game, especially on the line of scrimmage, I thought that was look, man. It's easy to get to a fever pitch and to play hard and play well and pay attention to all the details and everything when you're going against Miami, a rivalry game. This was a different game. It would have been natural to exhale a little bit, to relax a little bit. And no, they went up and got up a 26-3 lead. And if not for some, questionable officiating and some bad execution on third down, very bad execution on third down, they would have won that game by 3 scores. And Boston College is a bowl team, not a terrible team at all.
No.
And that quarterback's a good quarterback, and he saved them. He shrugged off like 4 sacks, and still didn't do anything in the first half. I just thought that was really impressive when you're talking. That was a culture win. I thought that was a very, very, very good performance, all in all.
What impressed me, I guess, I say it's season-defining because no matter what happens against Florida, which, again, this looks even more favorably because, obviously, on Sunday afternoon, Dan Mullen was released from his duties as head football coach at the University of Florida. They were installed Florida as a 10-point favorite.
Which was nuts. We were texting that beforehand.
Yeah.
That was nuts even before the Mullen thing.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I was trying to get, Brady Clark Christmas Eve. He was going to have a Merry Christmas. I was going to have enough money to pass it off to everybody. But that game just looks imminently winnable, to take a phrase from the headlines and Jeff Cameron show lexicon. But I think no matter what happens against Florida, and hey, man, I said, like, if they make a bowl game, I think they'll win the bowl game. If the team finishes 7-6, which it looks probable, highly possible, I still think, to your point, maybe, I don't know, culture, again, that's not something I like to talk about all that much. I do think it's a real thing. I think things need to be established for quite a while, and then you kind of see it manifest itself later on down the road. But maybe it can take a hold this quickly. I guess it really has. I mean, for them to get up and play the way they had. But I think this is season-defining win to me. 4th and 14 was great. That was a sloppy game in a lot of ways in the second half. So was this one, though. But again, to go up and make them look that bad. I mean, if this was boxing, I really almost want to go back and look at quarter by quarter Florida State's season, because Florida State gets some 10-8 rounds on people. Yeah. They get some 10-8 rounds where they dominate a team. I have the Ohio State game going on my television, and I got the Florida State game on my computer, and I got like my eye on both, and it's just like, yeah, I'm feeling really good about Florida State. Then I kind of look at Ohio State, I'm like, good gosh, they're really freaking good. But I look at Florida State, and there's large parts of the game where I'm like, they are easily a top 25 team. This is easily one of the 25 best teams in the country we're watching right now. And then they get in a little bit of malaise. People want to talk about referees not helping the cause. I'm not here to defend referees. I'm not here to bury them either. It is what it is. Hate saying that, by the way, but I just don't want to get involved too much in that kind of stuff. But to be in control, and it's crazy because I see your tweets, and you're the uplifting guy on this show, and you're like, oh, that was, the kickoff return, that was not a good thing. And you're kind of pointing out all these things and how they're going to maybe come and bite Florida State in the rear later on in the game. And they almost did, but they hold on when it all matters. That defense is extremely good now. That's a really good defense. And that's actually a good defense. Everything's churned, Corey. I don't know what's going on, but I'm here for it. I enjoy all of it. But yeah, I think season-defining win. The way they played that game, it's kind of been indicative of the way the season has gone, but it's more indicative of what they've been lately, and that's closing games and winning them when they matter. And that was a tough ask, man. Boston College was almost in 4-minute drill mode where you thought, man, they might score a touchdown here, and then we're going to have no time left to do anything with it.
Yeah.
But that defense made a stop. I think the referees didn't help at all, but I think that delay of game that made Norvell have to punt the ball might have been a kind of a favorable development, because if they don't convert that 4th down, Boston College has a much shorter field to work on. But I'm not taking points or anything away from it. But again, I just think that Boston, Miami game will probably always talked about more. But I think really the nitty gritty of it, the Boston College game really does show just how bought in the buy-in is there. And now here we are, Corey, Florida week.
We made
Bowl
it,
game.
man.
Bowl
we
trip.
made it. And Florida State is in a much better position than either one of its rivals, which is crazy to think about where these programs were 2 months ago. It's been a pretty remarkable turnaround. They are winning now the close games. We talked about that. We'll continue to talk about that when you're building a program. Lose big, lose close, win big. That's the natural progression. I thought this was a game where they deserved to win pretty easily. And, you lose your best defensive back on what it is, man. I know I guess that's what we're going to say this on this show. But I hate that call.
It should have been a personal foul. It shouldn't have been targeting, I think. It should have been a 15-yard penalty.
What was the personal foul? That is a huge kid that he's
sliding,
girding
man.
up to.
He's sliding.
But he's sliding as Jamie Robinson's momentum is going forward. And what in the world he's sliding for? I thought he was a competitor. It's 3rd and 4, and you're 240 pounds, and you have a defensive back in front of him, and you just slide in front of him like he's third base? I mean, it's crazy. Jordan Travis wouldn't have slid in that moment. And this kid, that's all he does is run. All their drives were extended because of his legs, and in that moment on 3rd and 4, he runs right at somebody and then slides. That was it wasn't like 1st and 10 and he'd already gotten 7 yards. It was 3rd and 4 and Jamie Robinson's on the yard marker, trying to keep him from getting a first down. He runs right at him, big 245-pound athlete, and just slides. There's no way he's expecting him to do that. That's crazy. And he's got to tackle him low because you can't tackle that guy high. He's going to run you over. Anyway, but it's fine. He hit him with his helmet. Whatever. You lose him for a whole game because that's college football's dumb rule. The Jordan Wilson PI, that cost
terrible.
2 points.
Did it, though? I thought, didn't they come right back the next play?
No,
and there was
they
pass
punted.
interference? Was it?
They punted.
Oh.
because he got it. Yeah, they got it was 3rd and 21 from the 40 instead of 1st and goal at the 10.
But wasn't there a pass interference right after that on Boston College? The guy didn't turn his back, and then it was a 15-yard penalty, but it's automatic first down because it was pass interference. Okay, all right, no, you're right. I am looking up. The very next play was pass interference, and Florida State had a new set of downs, 1st and 10 on the BC 25, but went nowhere, got a sack, and had to punt the ball. So yeah, it did cost some points then. You're right. You're right.
Probably 7,
right.
At least 3, but probably 7.
They were moving. Yeah, they were moving. They were moving easy right there.
So that's just a horrible call. But we get in the officiating later. The point is, I thought they played well enough and controlled the game well enough that they could have won that game like North Carolina easy. There were some things that went against them, including the weird tackle lined up in the backfield. I mean, that is how tackles line up. He wasn't off the line of scrimmage. They all line up with their bodies kind of angled out like that. And maybe it was really egregious. Well, here's a funny thing is that he got called for it on the play before, remember?
Right.
Right when Jordan Travis got hit with the personal foul on Jordan Travis, they offset. Well, they never called a number. They just said illegal formation, Florida State. Personal foul, Boston College, they offset. If they'd have said illegal formation 76, then maybe Darius, okay, I guess I gotta close that in a little bit. But they didn't give a number, so Darius probably had no idea who the penalty was on. So he lined up the exact same way again, and they called it again. Which, again, go look at the way Boston College lined up on passing downs, or the way Darius lined up throughout the game. Similar, it wasn't egregious. It wasn't noticeably different.
The only thing I can think of is...
And that cost them points.
Yeah.
Again.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so they're up 26-10 at that point. They convert a 4th down, 2 4th downs. Both of them are wiped out because of that penalty. Like if they don't call it the first time, Florida State's got the ball at the 25-yard line. Jordan Young makes a big catch, even when they go for it again, to get the ball inside the 35. They're going to go score points to make it at least 29-10, maybe 33-10, and that's a wrap on the game. And that was so frustrating about the second half is I don't think Florida State shrunk in the moment. I don't think they played horribly. I don't think they melted down or started to collapse. I think they got ripped with some ridiculous calls, and also you got to get better at 3rd down either way. That's something that going into the offseason is my main complaint with this offense is they are horrific at 3rd down. 3rd and 1, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12, it doesn't matter. They are horrific at they're like in the bottom 20 in the country in 3rd down conversion percentage.
2 of 10 on Saturday.
Yeah, and that's about what that's the clip they've been rolling out here for a month. They're still winning games, but not because of what they do on 3rd down. You've got to be better at 3rd down. Hopefully you get better players, and that helps that. But come up with some stuff, man. And what I wonder as we move forward is, man, Boston College was 8 of 16 on 3rd down. How many of those do you think was their quarterback scrambling? 5?
There was one drive where they had 3rd and 1s, and he just kept. They did the quarterback sneak stuff. So I know there's at least 2 of those.
And they also had 2 3rd and 10 plus where he scrambled and nobody's there.
Right.
And he just runs for 15 yards.
And hey, man, that happens. That happens to teams that are playing Florida State too with Jordan Travis.
That's why I say not really though.
Not this season, but it did last year.
No, not this season. No. And it's weird that on 3rd down his legs hardly ever come into play.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think maybe moving forward, maybe that's when you run him the most is on 3rd down instead of 1st down. But he's not. They're not doing a lot of rolling out with him on 3rd down, 3rd and short. They got to figure out how to get 1st downs on 3rd down because they are abysmal there. And maybe they're going to face whoever the quarterback is for Florida this week. They're going to face a guy that can run, a mobile quarterback. You've got to be better about keeping the quarterback in the pocket. Like those aren't easy. Those aren't even like crazy runs. Literally, he just gets outside the edge, and there's nobody on that side of the field. So I don't know if you need a spy for Emory Jones or the Richardson kid, whoever they end up playing, but you got to figure out something there. Those are too easy of 1st downs. But either way, overall, again, let's keep with the positive. The defensive line was incredible for most of the game. 4 and 11 were the best players on the field. They dominated that game, especially the first half. They just killed Jerkovich all game. I mean, that is a bookend 1-2 punch that not many teams in the country have, and they've been fantastic this season, both of them.
Yeah, poor Phil. Hope he's all right. Maybe him and DeAndre Francois could start some sort of battered quarterback club. I haven't seen anybody get beat up that bad since probably DeAndre back in 2016.
I mean, it was crazy. He was getting pummeled, even on the – and, credit to him, man. Like, he shook off 5 or 6 sacks, too.
Yeah.
Like, he had a couple where he's just throwing it over his shoulder. And again, when you talk about bad luck, I think it was the right call. I know some people might think there wasn't enough evidence to overturn it. I thought that was a forward pass there inside the 10 where they ruled it a fumble, which would have ended the game.
Right.
But then they called it a forward pass, and I thought that because he didn't hit the ball, it did look like his ball was going forward. But yeah, that like if Jermaine Johnson just tips the ball loose a little bit, like an inch, then that's ruled a fumble. It stays a fumble. You recover the ball and you win the game easily. You were just this close to putting it away, and now it seems like that's the next step this team takes, right? Is to get a big lead or play well, and then don't give up a 28-3 run like you did against Miami. Don't give up a 20-0 run like you did against Boston College. Figure out a way to stay consistent throughout. That will come with better players, but figure out a way to stay consistent and not give up these big runs. That's your next step as you look forward to next year. But man, what a rebound of a season. I mean, it's been fun to watch. Legitimately, it's been one of my more enjoyable seasons to cover because and especially juxtaposed with how the first month went, where it was just a grind and awful. For them now to be 5-2 in their last 7, it's just a credit to those players and those coaches, man. Because nobody could have seen this coming except for those guys in that locker room, I guess.
The bamboo. Although, man, it's like the defense have been carrying the day. Offense makes some plays when they have to. I wonder how much of the third down, and I don't think you're really that bothered by the third down. By the way, they're 104th in the nation. They're converting 34% of their third downs. Out of 130 teams, they're 126th on fourth down conversions, converting 30% of those.
They had the big one, though. They had the one that mattered.
Yeah. I wonder how much of it goes back to – I guess that might be like the next obsolete stat. I don't know what the obsolete stat in baseball is, but maybe it's fourth down conversion percentage. Because as long as you get the ones that matter, right? I mean, the one in the second quarter might not come back to bite you, but if you get the ones at the end of the game.
No, I don't. Like if you're still on that page, go look and see who's like the top 10 in the country in third down conversion. I can promise you they're all very good teams and very good offenses. It is a telling stat for offenses that score a lot of points.
Yeah, 2 playoff teams.
Yeah, I mean So I think I think third down conversion percentage is always a big deal. Maybe a little less now because so many teams go for it on fourth down, but you got to be good at one of the two. And Florida State's really bad at both. They just and you shouldn't be with a mobile quarterback. That is not something they have utilized a lot on third down, where he scrambles for a lot of first downs, but they're usually on first or second down, not third down. They got to figure out a way to like. Just make it a little easier on third down. But overall, man, I thought that was Jordan Travis's best game. I think you're seeing a kid now that is making more plays with his right arm than his legs.
Yeah.
And that's really encouraging and exciting moving forward because he's looking like a quarterback that just stands in the pocket, makes the right read, and makes the right play. Like, did he throw – I don't know that he made a bad read the whole game. He made a couple of bad throws. But I don't remember him making like a terrible read. Like, what did you see there, man?
When's the last time he turned the ball over?
Don't jinx it.
I mean,
I think it might have been. I don't know if his Hail Mary attempt where he got destroyed against Wake Forest, if that was intercepted or not. No. But if not, it might have been the Notre Dame game.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. I think maybe Wake Forest one got picked off. But no, it's incredible, man, to see his growth. Obviously, something I did not see coming. A lot of it, too, I guess, Crater, a lot of it's got to go to Kenny. We can maybe beat him up on third downs, but the amount of plays they scheme up that are just there, that work, the fact that nobody seems to realize, maybe we should whisper it, that like Florida State really likes to get their running backs involved in the passing game.
Yeah.
They really like to put guys in motion and have them scrape off the line of scrimmage and get open downfield, and no one seems to realize that it's not eye candy. Like, Pokey's going in motion. They're going to figure a way to get him released wide open. He's going to make a good throw to him. I mean, so much of the success they're having is everything's on time. It's like base down throws to where Kenny was talking about earlier in the year about how good Jordan was on those sort of base down situations against Clemson. But, I mean, they'll do the RP, like that traditional RPO, and he'll just gun it right over the middle to, like, down the seam to Cam McDonald. We see that stuff in practice every day. And you wonder, like, there just works against this defense every day? Is it like they're doing something that's putting stress on the defense to create these matchups that are, I mean, these aren't contested situations. These are guys that run open against good teams. Boston College has a really good defense. They're solid. I mean, they were
a really good pass defense.
Yeah, I mean, third in the nation. They were in this coming into this game. Jordan was 20 of 34 for 251 and 3 scores, and he didn't turn the ball over. I mean, good Lord. I mean, I think 10 different people caught a pass I'm looking at here. Ja'Kai, Pokey, Cam, Toafili, Trayshawn, Jayshawn, Malik McClain, Parchment, Darian, and Preston Daniel. Who's Pete Daniel? Preston Daniel.
You got it right.
Sorry, yeah. So 10 receivers. 10 different receivers caught a pass from him. So they just figure out ways to get this offense moving, and it's so whatever you – I don't want to look too far ahead. We got to worry about this Florida game. I mean, you do talk about the whole next progression for this team. This team, though, only probably has 2 games left, right? I mean, they got the Florida game, and then I'm thinking probably a bowl game. I feel pretty confident about this Florida game. I just wonder how much their makeup or their roadmap to winning games is going to change. Will they be able to slug out 26, 23 games without Jordan Kier? They might be putting up 35 next year steadily with Jordan, and they won't have to be this tough defensively. But everything that you wanted to see improve as a Florida State fan, you wanted to see a better defense going into the season. You wanted to see better quarterback play, like check and check. It's an incredible turnaround. Again,
you wanted to see a team that would bow up, like in like say, okay, enough's enough. Like they get stops when you absolutely have to get stops. And now when you're really thinking about it, going back to the Clemson game, I think, really going back to the Syracuse game. Syracuse got the ball in a tie game with 4 minutes left, and we thought, okay, well, they're going to go kick a field goal to win this game. You're going to be 0-5. No, the defense got to stop. And then they got the stop on 4th down against North Carolina when North Carolina was trying to make it a game. Where you just watching this team and this program over the last few years, you think it's an inevitability that they're going to give up a score late, either to give up a lead or to get a team back in the game. They didn't do that against North Carolina. Clemson, I know what happened at the end of the game, but after the Jermaine Johnson touchdown, they went out and got a stop, a 3-and-out.
Yep.
Like they went out and did that again. I didn't expect that. NC State, they got stops until they got 3 straight stops in the second half when you were trying to come back, and then you gave them the ball at your 40 with a 4th down attempt. And then this game, Miami too, you got the stop when you absolutely had to have it. Then this game, with Boston College driving. Now they scored 3 straight touchdowns. Keep in mind, 2 of them were inside your own territory when the drive started. And Boston College kept going for it on 4th down or barely getting 3rd downs. But it wasn't like they were driving the length of the field. And when they did the one time, so much of it was penalties. Plus, they have a really good receiver that ran by Brownlee and a quarterback made a throw. That's going to happen sometimes. You're not perfect back there. But I didn't think the defense was an embarrassment in the second half by any stretch. You got hurt by penalties. You got hurt by a big kid running for some first downs. But with the game on the line, seemingly that they're going down to at least tie the game, but probably go win the game, they seem to have found a running game. I thought the Boston College offensive coordinator was like, okay, he got a little too cute. Like they ran on that last series, they ran for it on first down, got nothing, and they came back and ran it again.
Yeah.
Just an off-tackle play, and Florida State's like, no, you're not doing that. And they stopped it for I think Fuller brought a corner blitz on that play. Not that it mattered because Keir Thomas blew it up anyway. But all of a sudden, you feeling really good about things. Oh, we're just going to run it down this team's throat. They're soft. They're giving up. We got all the momentum. They're on their heels. 0-yard gain, -1 loss, incomplete, interception, game over. Like just like that. In the interception, you obviously had really good coverage downfield, and then you finally got pressure on him. He just had to throw it up. And my man Akeem making a play.
Right?
You know what I mean? Looking like Kelvin Benjamin out there high-pointing that thing. You kidding me, Akeem? That should give him all the confidence in the world. So that was a cool play for him. And I will say this. I really liked – it was weird. It's a bizarre way to do things. I get it. But Norvell's end-of-game strategy there was perfect. Don't just take a knee, because you're going to have to punt it back. Run around a little bit, run around as much as you can, then take a knee, and then that last play, like he did in the first half, roll it out and throw it out of bounds.
Yeah, well,
game's over.
They did in the first half too, right?
Yeah, now, I thought he made one mistake there at the end of the first half. Like once you try McClain on the deep go, and he I guess he didn't. That looked like Jordan's best throw of the day. And McClain didn't see it, or I got lost in the sun or something. I don't know. But after that doesn't happen, just take a knee and get to the locker room. Like Jordan Travis ended up getting sacked. There's no need for him to take an extra hit when he doesn't have to. You're not going to score there at your own 15 with 20 seconds left. But then I thought the second half, after a little bit of the debacle with the delay of game, that was bizarre. But once they got the ball back, it's not an automatic that the game is over right there. But he did enough. Jordan Travis running around and then scrambling out to his right. Some coaches punt right there, man. But Norvell's smart enough to know, just roll it out to your right and throw it away. I thought maybe he'd run into the back of the end zone and just take a safety. But either way, don't punt the ball because that's the only thing that can lose the game for you. And, hey, credit to Maurice Smith for getting those snaps back there when it mattered too.
Right. No, I'm sure Adam was like, you're not giving them 2 free points. I'm trying to move
right.
Try to move up the leaderboard here with things.
Yeah,
right
but you'd think Jordan would be like, man, really another incompletion?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Or another sack. I got to go lose another 10 yards on this stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I will say that because you said Travis was 20 of 34. Well, 2 of those were throwaways at the end of each half. So he's 20 of 32. And then he had at least, 2 or 3 drops?
Hey, we don't have to – if you know football – listen, I was wrong about this kid. It's hard to think that he's going to regress in some sort of fantastical way. You don't need to parse through the numbers. Like if you watch the kid play, he makes plays. He doesn't put the team in bad positions. He keeps them on schedule. He's making bold. I mean, he's not making the boldest of throws, but he doesn't have to. They're not asking him to throw a 15-yard square in, but he did against Miami, and it worked out quite well. Man, he knows what they want to do. He knows how this offense needs to operate. They know the best way to utilize his skills right now. And then, listen, maybe the run game will be part of the 2022 offensive attack. Maybe they'll feel a little bit better about doing that. But right now, I mean, he is a quarterback. He's not a running quarterback. He's not a dual threat quarterback. He's not a run-first quarterback. Man, he's a legitimate, straight-up quarterback, and he's, top half of this conference. And this is a conference that's got really good quarterbacks. There's nothing to apologize for when it comes to watching the way he's operating this offense right now, man. Yeah, I'm wrong. I got no problem with it. I'd like to be right on stuff, but I'm glad to be wrong.
Wait until you start thinking about, okay, give him some real weapons out wide. Not that, Pokemon and Ice play in this game. McClain made a great catch. But give him one of those guys like the Flowers kid that turns a 12-yard gain into a 50-yard gain.
He's from Fort Lauderdale. You know that? That hurt my feelings.
Yeah, hey, man, what can you do? You can't get them all, man. You can't get them all. But
I think he's the 2018 class. Like, you want to go back and look at what we signed in 2018?
A lot of receivers, none of who were very good. Here, anyway. But, yeah, so you hope the cavalry's coming. You think it's coming. I don't know why it wouldn't at this point. Like, certainly guys that were committed to you when you were 0-4, you would think are going to stay true when you're 5-6, and you're now 5-2 in your last 7. You have a chance to be 6-2 in your last 8. And I would say, Aslan, wouldn't you say that Florida State the last 2 months has been one of the best teams in the conference?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, again, they're not blowing teams out, but they're getting there. They're close. They really are. And their 2 losses, again, were flu-ridden to NC State and then at Clemson on the road when you had a lead with 5 minutes left. Like, this team is close, and we all see it now. The results are lining up kind of what we saw before the results came. At this level where they're winning almost every week now. You saw the change, I thought. You saw the flip where you're like, okay, I can see what's happening here. And now the results are kind of matching with it. So, yeah, man, I couldn't be more impressed with a turnaround for a team. And as one of our listeners said weeks ago, this could end up being the best 6-6 team of all time, or the best 6-6 season of all time. And, yeah, if you go and beat both your rivals and finish 6-6 after starting 0-4, did you see that stat, by the way, that's only happened twice in college football history? That a team that started the season 0-4 finished 6-6. One was like 85-86 Colorado, and one was the Texas A&M team in the 60s. So you're talking about something that hasn't been done in 35, 36 years. Like, this is a historic run if they can go take care of business in Gainesville on Saturday. It's just, I just didn't think it was coming. I didn't have any idea it was coming. And, it gets you excited for what's going to happen when they rebuild the roster, and you hope go get another Jermaine Johnson or two.
Hey folks, if you're interested in investing in cryptocurrencies but you're not sure where to get started, check out the Kraken app. Maybe it can be your New Year's hobby, everybody. With Kraken, you can buy and sell over 50 of the most popular cryptos like Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and Ethereum, all from the palm of your hand or, on your laptop there. Maybe even think about buying the dip right now. Bitcoin's under 60 grand for one coin. Just saying. Super easy to get started. Download the app, create an account, and you can start investing within minutes. Just use some of your winnings from this Florida State-Florida game. Hammer the money line. We're winning this one. One of the coolest things about buying crypto through Kraken, again, is you don't need to put a lot of risk down, folks. You can just put $10, as little as $10 to get started. So find out for yourself why Kraken has been one of the highest-rated places to buy crypto for the last 10 years. 10 years they've been doing this, and they've been strong. Visit Kraken.com. It's KRAKEN.com/warchant. They'll even welcome you at the top of the screen. Or search Kraken in the App Store. Corey, also this recent spate of success. This we talked about when Mike Norvell first got hired, right? It was his two biggest hires were offensive line coach and defensive coordinator. And for as bad as people want to say this Florida State offensive line is, I don't think it's nearly as bad as some people want to believe it is for whatever reason. Brady Scott thrust into duty against Boston College and stepped up and did. I'm not even going to look at his Pro Football Focus numbers. They did pretty darn good on the offensive line. Boston College's offensive line. I don't want to take anything away from what Kier and Jermaine were doing, but man, they were struggling. That's the kind of stuff that Florida State was dealing with. This offensive line has been stout, and then the growth that the defense has done. And then you also talk about recruiting. Like the two biggest concerns are like this for me. I'm not speaking for anybody else. Speaking for me was, okay, he's got to make these two big hires, and what's his Rolodex like? What's his networking like? He's like from the Todd Graham tree, which I guess you can say is maybe part of the Malzahn tree. It's not the most developed tree in college football, but he went and got a guy from Charlotte, and Alex Atkins is an unabashed success. He went and took a chance on Adam Fuller, brought him from, Marshall to Memphis, and then brought him, wasn't his first option from what we heard most reports indicating. And he's got the defense fixed and the recruiting. I didn't know if he was going to be able to really connect with the kind of kids that are going to be getting pursued by all the big programs in this country. And the number one recruit in the country is firmly committed to this program right now. So any sort of doubt that I had, I don't want to say it's all been washed away, but I mean, it's been washed away. I don't know. I mean, has anything that you thought was a big question mark kind of been solved or answered for you here in the last 5 weeks during this stretch?
Well, I will say this. The hire that we questioned the most was Fuller. It was really cool to see him break the rock on Saturday after that game.
Back home, baby. Give me the hammer. Give me the hammer, the rock.
Right. And so he got to break the rock, which was cool. And I thought the defense was the reason they won that game. They played very well, except for a couple of stretches there and some misfortune, let's say. But I thought overall they played well. My one question again, I do think they aren't poorly coached. Last year, it's just the players never seem to be on the same page at all on doing anything. Now they're on the same page, and sometimes they just get beat. Like Brownlee just got beat. Quarterback, you can't stop everything. So I think what they do on third down is, they don't want to give up a big pass. So occasionally a Sam Howell, the kid from Syracuse, this kid on Saturday is going to run for a first down. He's not going to use a spy, it wouldn't appear. He doesn't trust that he has the players yet to be able to devote one person solely to stopping a quarterback. But maybe that's something where they grow too. But overall, they've been well coached. They are not an embarrassment. They're much better coached. They're not giving up even 30 points a game to anyone anymore. Knock on wood. They will have the better defense in that game on Saturday. And apparently a better coordinator, because I don't even know if Florida has one right now. So the question I have, though, I still think that's a question mark only because as well as I do think they're better coached. I think they're better coached in the back end. I still question the overall play of the linebackers, although Deloach had some really nice plays. And I question how much of the success is due to those two defensive ends. And when they're gone, what does this look like when you can't? He is so lucky that he gets to basically just rush 4 and know he can get a pass rush. That makes your job so much easier as a coordinator when you don't have to dial up a ton of blitzes to try to get pressure. What will that look like next year? But we also don't know who's coming. Like, you might get another really good player in the transfer portal or 2 that play defensive end. And maybe McClendon and Fuller keep coming. Maybe those 2 guys that you brought in this past year, the recruits, are better. I mean, you hope all that happens. But I don't know that you're going to get the defensive end play. You won't. Your defensive ends won't be as strong next year as they are this year. So that's the one thing I wonder is what they're going to look like without great defensive ends. But overall, man, yeah, I think Fuller has done an admirable job this year for sure. Second half of the season, they've been maybe the strength of the team. As we look at this program and where it is, I think the biggest thing is this recruiting class, loading up this roster, because I think both of you and I agree, and I think most people listening to this agree. Now that you've seen this coaching staff work for a full non-COVID season and what they've done from start to finish, and even from last season to this season, last season's team, 2-10 team, 3-9 team if they play the normal schedule. So now they've at least improved over that. They might be a 6-6 team, but just from where they've gone from September until now, you know these guys can coach. You know these guys are building the bricks where they've got something to them. Now what are they going to look like when they got a bunch of 4- and 5-star guys and when they got future NFL guys that they're coaching? That's the next step. Because I think there's a chance this is a championship caliber staff with the right players. That's how much I've been, and I certainly wasn't saying that in September. But what they've done with not a lot of NFL talent, what they've done with Jordan Travis over the course of 6 weeks to make him look like this, it's pretty impressive, man. And you just start projecting, okay, what's it going to look like with a 5-star wide receiver out wide, or 2 NFL guys out wide, or 3 linemen that can play in the league. Like, what is this offense going to look like then? Because it's good enough right now. It's still not good, but it's good enough right now. I think it has a chance to be really darn good when they start getting the players.
How much better are they? I don't know if this is the right way to ask it, but are they better than they were week 1 against Notre Dame? Because they looked really good against Notre Dame. And there's nothing bad about being as good as you were week 1. I know we believe everything's this really pretty, curve in this climb where like you get better every single week, and they have been recently here. But I wonder how much of that's like maybe getting back whatever juice they had in that first game, and then obviously with everything happened with Jacksonville State, obviously set them back. I kind of want to say would this team beat Notre Dame today? Because I don't even really know how Notre Dame is looking this season. What, that would beat Georgia Tech to 55-0 or something absurd like that?
They're 10-1. Their only loss is to Cincinnati. They're good.
Yeah. And I hope that doesn't like throw cold water or anything, but like, is this team, do you think, noticeably or significantly, tangibly, empirically better than they were when they played Notre Dame week 1?
I don't know if they beat Notre Dame if they played them today. They would not give up 41 points to them.
No.
But I wouldn't see that. Jack Cohn would not look like Trevor Lawrence if they played today. I just think, again, they were playing so many guys in the secondary, so many guys that they figured out, okay, this isn't good for they don't need to be on the field. But they were playing a lot of them. They saw Jamie Robinson in the nickel, moving him to safety when he's not called for ridiculous targeting, and gets to play the whole game. That has been a difference maker. Knowles being on the field, Cooper being on the field.
He almost had a pick again.
Yeah, they're just better on the back end.
Yeah.
So I don't know if but Notre Dame's defense might be better too. So I'm sure it is. I mean, they just shut out Georgia Tech, but I think maybe they still lose by 3 points, but they're not giving up 41 points. The defense has made drastic improvements, and I would also say this: even with the offense doing jack squat against Jacksonville State, there's no way if they played today that team is going to score 2 straight touchdowns, including one being a 97-yard drive. It's just not happening. They're not as confused. There aren't guys running free anymore. That's a huge help. That's a big deal. I think they're appreciably better on defense than they were this time when the season started. And offense, look, man, the offense is up and down. Brady Scott, God love him, isn't a good college lineman. He tries. He's out there. He's a Nole. He's been here for 6 years. He's trying his best, but you've got to upgrade at certain positions. That's not a guy you need some guys up there. And you might have them. They're all young. Your best guys appear to be young. But, with Devontae Love-Taylor being hurt most of the year, Brady Scott having to fill in some, they're making do, man. They made do with not a very good offensive line because of injuries. They're going to keep restocking that position, and it's just going to get better. And then everything else is going to be easier. And Jordan Travis is, a different guy than he was against Notre Dame.
They got Marcus Cushney playing one snap at fullback on Pro Football Focus. Brady graded out at 61.6, second best on the offensive line. Or third best. So right in the middle. Right in the middle.
Hey,
go. Man, for being thrust into duty, our guy Devontae Love-Taylor, who Trench Talk, 6 o'clock, Mondays. We'll have to see what's going on with that. He doesn't like talking about his health, but I have to give him a little bit of a hard time. Like,
he gets that from Norvell. They don't like doing that. That's you can do your show, Devontae. Yeah. But don't give people, don't tell people what's going on with you. But speaking of the Florida game, and not even really the Florida game, but like it just you want them to win. It would be such a cool way to finish a regular season if you go down there and win. But no matter what happens, and you touched on this earlier, they are the destination program. If you want to stay in state and you're a good player, you're going to go to Miami or Florida? Like, you don't even know who the coach is going to be. And you might not have any relationship with them. They really need to take advantage of this next month, these next 3 weeks.
Yes.
And what's funny is I was thinking about Florida. I'm sure they would go to a bowl game, but that would delay things, I think. Like, who's going to be recruiting? If they beat Florida State and go to a bowl game, like, in a weird way, that frees up Florida State to just go get on the recruiting trail and do everything you can for the next 2 weeks to get everyone you can. I mean, but you've got to take advantage of these next 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know how many guys that Miami has. Apparently not. And I know Mullen hasn't been recruiting great, but I know he has some commitments. How many of those guys you want to go get or you've been in contact with that you would like to get? But go get some. And I don't know how many guys are trying to decide between Florida State, and Miami. It might be good to have Langston on this week, talk about that. But Florida State's got to be the most appealing destination by a lot. And it's been a while since you could say that.
Well, I think that there's that Basante kid, Wesley Basante, that's a linebacker prospect that's kind of down between Miami and Florida State, so that's obviously really good for him. I mean, but Michael was saying on the recruiting show last week, there's no commitments that they would flip, but there are guys that they're battling with right now,
right?
That are concerned those schools. Man, Miami is 59th right now, according to Rivals. 39th is Florida. Florida State's 11th.
That's 39th before. That's just with you're looking at on a Sunday, an hour and a half after their coach was fired.
Yeah. So
that's going to plummet too. Like, there's never been a time where Florida State, maybe with Jimbo's early on after Meyer left and I don't know, Randy Shannon was struggling. I don't remember another time where the other two schools were recruiting so bad and you had a chance to really rack up on in-state guys. And again, the guy, maybe it's just 3 guys. But remember, man, one of the best defensive linemen in Florida State history is Timmy Jernigan. And he only came because Meyer quit 2 weeks before, or a month before signing day. Like, he was going to go to Florida. Then Meyer wasn't the coach anymore, and he decided to come to Florida State. That worked out well for all involved. So you might get a kid like that. Maybe you're not flipping someone, but you could get a kid that really, really is leaning to Florida, wants to go to Florida, but doesn't have any relationship with whoever the new coach is. Now you just got to hope they don't hire a good coach. That's it. Manny Diaz winning on Saturday night. I know Florida State fans on Twitter at least were upset that they lost or that Miami won, but I'm like, man, I think y'all should be rooting for Miami to win.
No, there's no way he's staying, man. They got rid of the AD. All the dominoes.
Buddy, they've won 5 of their last 6. They're a 4th and 14 from being 6 in a row, man. You got to keep that guy. You might want to get him to an extension.
Okay, you're right.
The Dolphins might be coming after him. You don't know who's coming after Manny Diaz. You might want to lock that up for the long term.
It will be interesting to see how everything shakes out with this coaching carousel now. Southern Cal, LSU, Florida are open.
Yes.
Florida.
And Southern Cal and LSU got on the train first.
Yeah. And everyone's going to be battling over the same guys. It sounds like you hear Lane, you hear Dave Aranda, and you hear Luke Fickell. Those are like the bells of the ball right now.
Right.
And hey, what do I know? but neither of those like strike me as instant. I mean, I love Lane. I wouldn't like Lane. Lane in Gainesville hurt my feelings. Lane in Miami would hurt my feelings. I think he'd be good at Miami. Like, he would just play the whole
that's the one I would.
Villainous.
I would think Lane in Miami would be a little more worrisome because there might only be 4 people in the country that could coach Miami back to relevance.
They'd give him the latitude, right? Like Florida, he wouldn't play
That's
well.
That's what
with
I'm
Florida.
saying.
Yeah.
He could be a goofball in the persona that he has. He could drum up interest because of his weird personality. Not Dan Mullen weird, just he doesn't seem to care. Yeah. He's going to say whatever he says. He's kind of got like that. I don't know if he's married, but he's always seemed
divorced.
to have like that
he's just
Playboy
his
image.
Best life. Yeah, he's living his best
there you
life
go.
now. Joey Freshwater.
So he's just got that guy. He's the single guy, no cares in the world. I think that could play in Miami a lot better than it would in Gainesville. And that it's just gonna There are many people that could bring Florida back to national prominence. Like, I don't know, let's say 15 coaches out there that could bring Florida back to national prominence. There might only be 3 or 4 that could do it at Miami, maybe less than that. I think Lane Kiffin, he's the wild card that maybe could do it. If they go hire Luke Fickell at Miami, which he wouldn't, I don't think you'd leave Cincinnati for Miami, honestly. Yeah. But if you did, I wouldn't be all that worried about that. You've got to get somebody in there that bends the rules almost to where they snap in half to get players to go there, and then just runs a renegade program. And I think Lane Kiffin would have no problem doing that.
Yeah, it feels like they have to. I would imagine they're like Lane or Cristobal or bust.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, maybe after losing to Utah, he's not that hot of a commodity. Could you imagine
they probably don't want him anymore?
Could you imagine if you were a booster and you were getting ready to cut a check to Mel Tucker, and then he goes and just gets absolutely just neutered on national television against Ohio State? You don't want to be reactive, but you see these situations, you're like, man, who really is good? I mean, so back to Florida. In each of the 4 years that Mullen's been there, they have been at some point ranked in the top 10.
Yeah.
I think they got as high as 6th maybe last season, so they were on the outside looking into the playoff picture.
Almost beat Alabama 2 years in a row.
And still wasn't good enough. And I'm not trying to advocate for him staying there. I mean, it does make sense. And I mean, if you saw his post-game press conference after Missouri, guy just knew he was going to lose. Crazy thing is, if they stop the second down, the 2-point conversion, they win that game, he's still the coach at Florida.
For one more week.
Yeah. If he beats Florida State, do they keep him? I don't think he would beat Florida State, though.
I honestly think that's what they're worried about.
Yeah.
Like that he would beat Florida State, or maybe even beat Florida State convincingly. You can't fire a guy after that.
Yeah.
But they clearly, obviously, desperately wanted to get rid of the guy. Yeah. And they were looking for an excuse. And it's not so much the record, because you can't fire him based on the record.
He's 22-5 after 2 seasons there.
Yeah, well, so it's gone downhill here the last year and a half, really.
Yeah.
But those losses he had to end last year were to very good football teams. This year, not so much. I think he's 2-9 in his last 11 against Power 5 opponents. But it's not even that. It's everything else. It's a lot, to be honest with you. To a lesser extent, it's a lot. What was the deal here with Taggart? It wasn't just wins and losses. It was everything behind the scenes, where you're like, okay, this isn't going to work long term. We're not seeing anything that makes us think that this is a championship caliber coach for a number of reasons. And Mullen just was eminently, utterly unlikable. Nobody liked him. He's a weird guy. I don't know that his players liked him. He didn't recruit, much like Taggart wasn't recruiting well. Mullen wasn't either.
But he doesn't even try, it feels. He kind of knows his weakness, and he's like, whatever, I'm not going to go here and beg these kids to come to school. I'll figure it out.
It kind of reminds me of like Paul Johnson. All Paul Johnson did at Georgia Tech was like, yeah, whatever. Y'all like your 5 and 4 stars. I don't care about it. It's like, all right, man, great. You can run your offense, and you'll have a very good offense. You're going to be terrible on defense, and you're never going to really compete for a championship, because you actually got to go get players, man. Yeah. You can't just think you're going to out-scheme everyone. And Mullen, he just rubs so many people the wrong way. Think about just in the last 2 years, the goofy thing he said after they lost to A&M, like you're in the middle of a COVID, and he's talking about, we got to pack the swamp 90,000. It's like, okay, man, that's not allowed in your state, buddy. I know the crazies in College Station, they're good, they're doing their own thing, but you can't just dictate, okay, I want 90,000 at the swamp. Yeah, that's not allowed, bud. And then he starts a fight at halftime in the Missouri game. I think it was the Missouri game. Basically, almost starts a sideline brawl. by screaming at the refs and screaming at the players, and then where's the Darth Vader mask?
Walks off the field at halftime, like amping everybody up like a wrestler.
Where's the Darth Vader mask?
Yeah.
Then this year he says the stupid thing about it's not recruiting season. I don't want to talk about recruiting. It's not recruiting season. He shut down media availability twice for no real reason other than I guess he didn't want his players to answer questions about him.
Has no idea how to manage his quarterback situation.
Yes. He also told everyone that his quarterback got hurt dancing. Like all these things that don't really instill trust and belief from your players. And then what a weird season. Like that LSU game is still maybe the weirdest game of LSU just ran the same play over and over again.
Oh, you're talking about last year when they threw a shoe?
Yards.
Last year when they had a player throw a shoe? You're talking about that LSU game?
Yeah, that one too. Yeah, and Mullen was like, I can't believe – he almost seemed incredulous that they called a penalty on him.
I didn't see it. Yeah,
it's like, buddy, your guy threw a shoe. Like, who throws a shoe, honestly? But you threw a shoe and you lost the game because one of your players threw a shoe. And then this year you go to LSU, who just fired its coach, who couldn't run at all the week before, and you give up 300 yards to one guy. And just all the everything, losing at South Carolina the way they did, just looked like he completely lost the team. I don't think Willie ever lost the team. That's the one difference. Willie's team that second year wasn't getting bludgeoned. They just weren't very good, but the cavalry wasn't coming. And now when you look at Florida, they're not good this year. They might not make a bowl, and they're 39th in recruiting.
Yeah,
and they're in the SEC. Yeah, I think they're like, okay, this was a mistake. He can't get us there now, but odds are.
Well, and he wasn't their first option, man. They wanted Chip Kelly, they wanted Scott Frost, and Scott
Frost is available. They can go make that magic happen. They can make that dream happen.
They gave him the vote of confidence. Trev Alberts is like, I believe in him.
You don't think Scott Frost would leave for Florida tomorrow?
No.
He's all crazy?
No, why? Dude,
because
he's home.
He would get to recruit the state of Florida.
I don't know.
He would have a much better chance of winning anything of significance at Florida than he would at Nebraska. Now, obviously, the shine is off his star, and Florida's not going to be after him. He blew that chance, but twice. But he can enjoy losing all those one possession games at Nebraska.
I just want to ask you this before we do our indescribably good player of the week and talk about hoops. It's hard to say that somebody's underachieving if they've won 3 national titles. But for all the luxuries and all the advantages at the disposal of the University of Florida, the fact that they still find themselves really no better than just a middling top 25 team here over the last, 10, 15 years, are they one of the more underachieving programs in the country? Like, how can you be the flagship school in a state that's as talent-rich as Florida and be in that conference with all that money and a big stadium, and you're the biggest show in town, and you just simply can't find guys that want to come coach there. You can't get your first option. You can't even get your second option. This on top of what you had to go to Jim McElwain. Like, that was a Hail Mary. Muschamp sort of almost kind of was okay. Like, you can kind of squint in your eyes and be like, all right, this is maybe be a little bit of a good idea. I just don't know if they can't get somebody like Lane. Go get Dave Aranda. Dave Aranda's a good defensive coach. What he's done at Baylor is pretty impressive, but Baylor was kind of rolling. He really hasn't built back Baylor. He's just kind of kept it moving on the same trajectory that Matt Rule had it. I'm just enjoying it. That fan base is just so delusional in terms of, again, like, you guys have all these luxuries. These are true things. You have more money than Florida State. You probably have a little bit more prestige when it comes to being in that conference than Florida State. You have nothing to show for it, though. Nothing. And here you are, going into the final game of the season, and you look hapless and in an absolute embarrassment. I love it. I love it.
Tell him, Aslan.
It's great. It's great. They suck. They're terrible. How did you
calm down. Don't put that out there. Don't start jinxing things yet. They do not look good. They do not look interested. They're not very good. They weren't good at all on Saturday on offense, and they're not good on defense. So, yeah, I think you go in, especially if Emory Jones is playing. You go into that game with the better defense and the better quarterback. I know it's on the road, but it also, like, those fans.
It's Saturday after Thanksgiving, and it's at noon. There's going to be
and your coach is
60,000
fired.
people in there.
It probably would have been a little bit better for Florida State if Mullen was there, only because there would have been boos every time they had to punt. There's nobody to boo now. They're all gone. You can't boo Grantham. He's done. You can't boo Mullen. He's gone. So there's nobody really to boo anymore, so there won't be maybe the animus in the crowd that there would have been. But otherwise, yeah, you're the better defense and you have the better quarterback. And it could be almost like a bowl game. Like there should be a lot of Florida State fans in that crowd. Because I think Florida State fans have recognized what this team is doing. Florida State fans are fans of this team. Florida fans hate this team. But Florida State fans actually like what they've seen. They really are. It's a likable team. It's an easy team to cheer for. It's an easy coaching staff to cheer for. So I think hopefully, I can't imagine those tickets are very expensive. It's not exactly 96. It ain't the game of the century. So yeah, if you're listening to this and you're in Orlando or Tampa or Miami, it's just a day trip. Shoot on up 75, shoot on up the Turnpike, and go watch the Noles. But it should be a lot of Florida State fans there. And, it's pretty amazing how bad they've been now for 12 years since Meyer left. And it's almost like they just wanted to keep going with the M. Like, if your last name starts with M, Urban worked out, so we got to keep it rolling. They're never going to hire a Z again. But M's, it's like, okay, we went from Meyer to Muschamp to McElwain to Mullen. And you think about Florida fans, and I know nobody feels sorry for them, but think about the people they've had to, like Muschamp apparently was a nice dude, good person. But Meyer is just a slime ball. And then from there, they go to Muschamp, who just couldn't win. Then you got a guy humping a shark on a boat, naked. You can say it's not you, buddy. You can say it's the guy from Jimmy John's. Nobody believes you.
We're going to get sued for slander on that or libel, one or the other.
That's not true. In my opinion, I'm just saying I have no proof. It looks a lot like their coach laying naked on a shark. So Florida, and he didn't have a sense of humor about it either. So they go from that weirdo to the biggest weirdo in college football. It's like, man, they just want a normal-ish guy. I know college football coaches aren't typically normal anyway.
The AD, Scott Strickland, hired Dan Mullen at Mississippi State.
Well, because he was so good. He is. We've talked about it. He is a very good offensive coach, very good, and he won at Mississippi State. But it's easier to be a weirdo in Starkville. You fit right in, right? But no, the point is that like it's not that big a fan base. It's not a national program. It's not everything you said is parsed down like it is at Florida. And he just wasn't ready for that kind of spotlight. And those personalities typically aren't. And it was just a weird fit that way. That is a national brand. That is a national program. And you gave it to a guy that just is very socially awkward to the point that he can't recruit real well. He can if you give him players, he'll coach his butt off, and he'll score points. But you got to get him players. He needs to be like an OC in the NFL or something, where he can be as weird as he wants and nobody cares.
He'll go to Alabama. He'll help out. He'll help out Saban for a year for $40,000.
Yeah, him and Manny both might be quality control guys next year at Alabama.
Yeah, at least shout out to Florida for, I don't know if that's the way it was structured with Willie, but they say his buyout's $12 million, which I assume that's what's remaining on his contract. I don't think it was like a blanket catch-all $12 million no matter what. But they just got to pay him $6 million here in the next 30 days, and then they've got 6 years to pay off the other $6 million.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. Just listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. This guy's going to get paid $12 million to not coach. It's just crazy what these presidents and ADs continue to do. I saw somebody on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, somebody I follow and like, but there was somebody that tweeted about if there was a salary cap for coaches, there needs to be a salary cap for college coaches. That would be the first thing that a commissioner of the NCAA would do. And somebody retweeted it and was like, yeah, good luck keeping any of the good coaches in college. And the retort to that is like, yeah, where are they going to go?
It's 32 jobs.
They're going to coach in Taiwan? There's nowhere else to coach. It's the NFL and college. That's it. You're competing with nobody. There's 30 spots in the NFL, and they're not big fans of getting the college coaches anyway, so you don't have to keep doing this. I mean, I'm not for collusion. I'm for free market. I am a capitalist, sure, but this is absurd, and it's out of control, and these presidents and ADs aren't smart enough to understand that. There's no reason to give these guys – who are you trying to keep Dan Mullen from going to? that you owe. He's coached there 4 years, right? And you still owe him $12 million? That's just nuts. $12 million to not coach. Ogeron's getting $18 million to go sit on a beach. By the way, Max Johnson's terrible. I don't know what Jeff Cameron's talking about. That kid is awful. I had money on LSU this week. Just the money line, so I made like 11 cents.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a game in the fourth quarter.
I know, Terry. No, I picked. I had them covering that, man. I get the points.
And that guy, they just come on, man. I know he's young. Maybe he'll be better, but geez, Louise.
The clutch shot, the biggest hit. It's time for the Zaxby's Indescribably Good Player of the Week.
All right, let's get to it. The Zaxby's Indescribably Good Player of the Week. This is brought to you by our good friends at Zaxby's. Corey, I'm going to go with the first touchdown of the game. Jordan Travis, just ballerina-esque legs, feet, moving the pocket, moving the platform. And then Pokey, like him, the way he zipped back 2 yards and then just instantly propelled himself and catapulted forward to score the touchdown, that was a really pretty play and sort of set the tone for the offense, at least early on, for just how successful they were going to be. So I'll go with Jordan Travis, my Zaxby's Indescribably Good Player of the Week for that strike to Pokey.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Keir Thomas. We haven't mentioned him at all, I don't think, in this show, and he deserves it because he was great. Had, I think, 7 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 5 quarterback hits, which I don't know that I've ever seen a guy with 5 quarterback hits. He was all over Jerkovich the whole game. And there were a couple times where I think, well, Jerkovich is really strong. Jerkovic, sorry. And you don't know if he can, hey, you can't spell Jerkovic without jerk. Am I right? Anyone? Anyway, so Keir Thomas, I think there were a couple times where like you don't want to rough a quarterback, so maybe he got out of his grasp or he wasn't aggressive enough with him. But he hit that dude all game long. And he's just a really good football player, man. I know Jermaine Johnson's, one of the best in the country and might be the defensive player of the year in the ACC, but the other defensive end is really, really good. And he's my indescribably good player of the week.
There you go. He had 13 pressures. Keir Thomas, Jordan Travis. We'll throw you in there too, Pokey. Get some chicken at Zaxby's. Zaxby's Indescribably Good. Those are our Zaxby's Indescribably Good Players of the Week. We were going to do a deep dive into Florida State's victory over Loyola Marymount on Sunday, but something happened with the post-game stuff. Schedules got crossed up, so I'm just here solo talking hoops. But basically just reading the great words that Corey wrote on his story that's posted to warchant.com. But Florida State improved to 3-1 on the season after that win over Loyola Marymount, 73-45. Florida State held Loyola Marymount to 17 first-half points. They forced 24 freaking turnovers. They closed the half on an 18-4 run. Matthew Cleveland, this kid's really good. They keep getting these blue-chip guys that are really good. He's starting to get a lot of burn, too. So maybe he won't be a sixth man. But he led the way with 13 points, and they will take on the winner of Missouri SMU later tonight as you're listening to this in the championship game. It's Sunday, though, as I'm recording this. I want to go watch Succession and Curb. So that's a wrap for us. But you still want to celebrate the Florida State victory over Boston College, which by all means do so. 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, that window, Jeff Cameron Show, live on YouTube, as well as 93.3 FM here in Tallahassee. Mike Norvell, Kenny Dillingham, Adam Fuller, John Papuchis, in that order, will step up to the podium around 11:30 in the morning on Monday. We will have that video up for you, as well as a transcribed blow-by-blow account of what is said as the Noles get ready to head into the swamp and take down the Gators. 10-point dogs, come on. I don't even know what it looks like now. It might be off the board after this whole Mullen fiasco. But that's a noon kickoff. Probably ESPN. I hope they don't put us on SEC Network. That'd be kind of rude. But who knows? It is noon, though. When you think about it, last time we were in the swamp, it wasn't good, but the time before that, we beat them. Really hasn't been that long. COVID sucked. 2020 was horrible. But at least, when you look on it, it's like, we lost to the Gators, 2 years in a row. Not that bad. Tide changes on Saturday when Florida State takes on Florida. We'll have another show for you folks on Tuesday, probably Renegade Express. We'll most likely do a live show Tuesday as well. That'll be your Wednesday podcast, and we'll probably shut it down for Thanksgiving. If we have a leftover mailbag, We might actually end up doing that in a two-parter and drop some stuff for you folks on Friday. But we will have a live show Tuesday. Trench Talk later tonight. For Corey, I'm Aslan. Thanks so much for listening to Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. DeLuna Coffee features over 24 different blends. DeLuna's unique roasts can be delivered ground finely for drip coffee makers, coarse for the craft crowd, untouched as a whole bean, or even in convenient K-Cups. Founded in 2014 by the Lemmix family, Ed and Brett are FSU alums and boosters who are extending a special offer to all listeners. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.